I remember the really tough years when I was little and on tour with Mom and Milton.
You'll know that voice, Milton. Your sister, Rosalind, here from her home in Miami Beach, Florida, is Mrs. Charles Wigderson. Here's Roz. Here's
Hello, Ralph.
What were the tough times like, Rosalind?
Oh, well, I can remember days when we split one egg for breakfast. How about it?
One egg, that's right.
And, a few nights, many of them, that Mom, Milton, and I all we tried to share one upper berth. And there's nothing like sleeping with Milton's foot in your face.
Mom was always proud of Milton, wasn't she, Rosalind?
She was very proud of him. And why not? Yeah. We all are. But, you know, Ralph, she had a special way of answering the telephone. Do you remember what Mother used to say?
Hello, this is Mrs. Berle.
Yeah, hello. Well, it reminds me, I'm so mixed up. Imagine Berle without an answer.
I was going to say, you are watching show business history, ladies and gentlemen. Berle without an answer.
She said, hello, this is Milton Berle's mother.
What a mom. Thank you, Rosalind, for flying in from Miami Beach to be with Milton tonight. Wonderful family. Now, look, there are more big surprises ahead of you, Milton Berle, and more unexpected people from a career that sped along ever faster and ever funnier. Back to This Is Your Life, Milton Berle, the baby destined for show business, the little boy who knew where he wanted to go and got there, the top. 1930, at only 21, you reached the pinnacle of vaudeville with your single act at the Palace Theater, New York City. And someone who remembers you then wants to speak to you. Now, here from her engagement at the Rancho Don Carlos in Winnipeg, Canada, herself, a well-remembered subject on This Is Your Life, author of I'll Cry Tomorrow, is Lillian Roth.
Hey, Milty, darling. I wish I could be with you. But you know, I'm way up in wonderful Winnipeg, Canada. But I'm still with you. And I like to think back to the days when we were kids together, professional children's school. Remember the feuds? I'd go out and buy Mommy a hanky, and you'd go out and get your Sandra, too. And then I'd get a ring for Mother, and you'd get a bracelet and a ring for yours. And then when we finally made it, remember the thrill when we gave our mothers mink coats? Well, one day our feud was over, and I needed help. And Milty, I'll never forget your words. Once a star, always a star. They helped. Thank you for giving me many happy tomorrows. May you have them too. Bye, Milton.
Thank you, Lillian Roth, way up there in Winnipeg. In the 1930s, Milton, your name in a vaudeville theater or nightclub is a surefire guarantee of sellout business. The joy you get from facing any audience is so great that you often find yourself entertaining for free in hotel lobbies, barber shops, even in nightclubs where you're just a customer.
Well, I know that many of Milton Berle's greatest performances have been given free because he did it for weeks to help me.
The voice of a great young comedian. He opens tomorrow at the Flamingo Hotel in Las Vegas. Yes, he's star of his own television show, too. $1 a second. Here from Las Vegas is your friend Jan Murray.
I knew you didn't get in touch with me. I knew something.
Milton helped a lot of young comedians, didn't he, Jan?
He certainly did, and he still does, Ralph. But Milt, I want to just bring up one quick incident that maybe you have forgotten. I want to tell the folks how you and I met at the Martinique years ago.
Don't say the Lakewood one.
No. Well, I was appearing, Ralph, at the La Martinique. I was just a kid. It was my first big assignment. I was coming in there after Danny Kaye had caused the sensation. I was nervous and scared, and if the truth must be told, I didn't have a good act. And, you know, all these hard critics were sitting out there, these tough New York audiences, and I went out for about 10 or 15 minutes. I really died. And Milton Berle was there as a customer, sitting out front, and he had a great deal of heart and sympathy. He understood what I was going through, and he started to kid me, and he opened it up, and I started to answer him. Before you knew it, there was a lot of laughs, and I didn't go off in disgrace. So after the show, I knew Milton Berle's a great star. I admired him for so long. I went over to the table, and I introduced myself, thanked Milton, and this guy made an appointment with me, this busy man, a great star, was at the Ziegfeld Follies at the time, made an appointment for the following day, spent 3 afternoons with me, helped me with my act, revised my act, gave me new material. And more important, Ralph, He showed up every night for 2 weeks because it was a little tough getting started, getting business into the club. Milton came in every night for 2 weeks, and when it got around New York that Milton Berle was there performing and helping and working with Jan Murray, before you know it, the place was jumping every night, and it was really the first break I ever got in my life. Since then, this guy and I are real close, good friends. I'll tell you how I feel about him, how much I love him, that I resent that I wasn't brought out with his brothers.
Thank you, Jan Murray. Good luck at the Flamingo. 1946, you open at the Carnival Club in New York City, and during the next 46 weeks, you make nightclub history with the longest sustained run and probably the highest salary ever paid to a club entertainer up to that time. When you're signed as MC of a new television show, Texaco Star Theater, no one realizes that a phenomenon is about to happen.
I was one of the first guest stars. As a matter of fact, I made my first TV appearance with this mad, impetuous fool.
I don't need to ask you. That is... Yes, television Sergeant Bilko, here from New York by way of Las Vegas, is the pal of your youth who, like you, Milton, achieved stardom in television in his first year on his own show, Mr. Phil Silvers. Here he is.
You're knocking me
sit
down.
What's it like working with Milton on the Texaco Star Theater, Phil?
What's it like? It's like being in an air raid with a paper hat. But you see, Milton is a perfectionist, and he's dedicated that the laugh must come off with precision. And so in the Texaco show, Milton ran the lights, rehearsed the camera, showed the musicians, did everything but the laundry. And what might be interesting to you, Ralph, is while I was working for Milton as his guest star, I was gathering material without knowing it for a show that was forthcoming called Top Banana, which I fashioned after Milton. And at that time, the words Top Banana were not too well known, and now it's part of our American wordage. And one day, playing golf with Milton, he saw the notice that I was to do a show called Top Banana, and Milton said, "Phil, what does that mean, Top Banana?" And I thought, well, I better tell him myself. There are too many railbirds around like to be vicious. So I told him with as much compassion as I could. I said, Milton is about a fellow who's been on the stage since babyhood, dedicated to the laugh at anybody's expense. The laugh must come. The audience must be entertained. So what chance did he have to develop into what passes as a normal human being? And Milton looked at me and says, Phil, I know fellas just like that.
The results of your TV show, Milton, are astounding. Business of all kinds falls off on Tuesday nights. Movie attendance drops. Tuesday becomes Berle's Day. Isn't that right, Phil Silvers?
Well, until last year, yes. I say that Milton and I, they try to create a feud with us. They haven't got a chance in a million. Because this is the man, single-handedly responsible for more sale of television sets than any other individual in the history of show business. He paved the way for whatever glory we may be sharing. We should all be eternally grateful to Milton.
Thank you, Phil Silvers. Thanks so much. 1949, 1950, you do the first telethon in history, and many other shows. You can always be counted on to do a benefit for a worthy cause.
And it was Milton Berle who helped in the first Fight for Sight campaign to gather dollars for research to prevent and cure blinding eye diseases.
The voice of a girl who lost her sight and who was the founder of the National Council to Combat Blindness. Here from New York, Mildred Weisenfeld. Here. Hey!
I'm so happy to be here with you.
What about this guy?
Oh, Ralph, it was in 1949, the Fight for Sight that was conceived by a handful of us ourselves, faced with blindness, was desperately in need of funds. And we put on a great benefit show, that is, we wanted to raise dollars, but we didn't have a star. We didn't know where to turn. We couldn't sell a ticket. And we knew at that time that there was only one person big enough that could help turn the tide, Mr. Television himself. And Milton, I wonder if you remember when I dashed into the studio where you rehearsed your weekly television shows, and although you were involved in 1,001 things, you stopped and you listened to me, Milton. And when I finished, I'll never forget what it meant to me and mine when you said, Mildred, I'll be there. And Milton, you were there. Not only that year to make it one of the greatest benefits, but for 6 years, year after year, and Mom was there too. And I want to say this evening, Milton, God bless you, and we're so grateful, and those people who may one day be spared from blindness because of you are here with me tonight, I know.
Thank you, Miss Mildred Weisenfeld. The Fight for Sight. Thank you, Doctor. 1953, you grow more relaxed, mellow, and happier under the influence of a wonderful girl, and you marry her on December 9th, 1953. And here she is, the former Ruth Cosgrove, your wife, Mrs. Milton Berle. Here's Ruth. Come on, sit down by your famous husband over there, Ruth. You got a surprise when you first met Milton, didn't you, Ruth?
Yes, Ralph, I expected him to be kind of a crazy character, which he is, but he's sweet and wonderful, and I love him.
Good. As proud of you as Ruth is your young daughter, Vicki Berle. She sends you a big hug and kiss from New York because school exams made it impossible for her to be here tonight.
Whoops. For the first time in This Is Your Life history, we just plain ran out of time. So we brought our star subject back to open our next week's show. And here's how it went.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome again to This Is Your Life. Now, I'm sure that most of you know that time ran out on us last week. So wonderful was our subject's life and so packed with events and people that we just didn't get time to finish our show and present him with the surprises planned for his future. So we've asked this great guy and his lovely wife to return tonight. And here they are, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. and Mrs. Milton Berle. Here they are, right here. I just can't tell you how wonderful it was. Letters from all over the country, people... If they can love you more, they do, Mildy. You're really great. You know, this is you're a pioneer in television. This is another pioneering thing, really, for you. Certainly is for us. This is the first time this has ever happened on This Is Your Life, where we've had to go into the next week, and we're very grateful to both of you for coming here tonight. Milton, at this moment a week ago, let's see, Ruth was seated right over there. Do you want to go over there, Ruth? And Milton, you were right beside your lovely wife. We've got to stage this exactly as it was, you see. You were sort of dazed with surprise and unbelief, weren't you?
Well, quite a lot. Well, look at my nails. They're growing back now.
Well, the great line was, he says, imagine Berle without anything to say, you know. People have been talking about that. The privilege and the honor of having you here was certainly ours, Milton Berle.
Thank you very much.
Now, Milton, so you can relive your reunion with your family and friends, this seems like the end of the show. Don't go away if you've just tuned in, ladies and gentlemen. This is the beginning. Crest will present you with a sound film of the whole program. For Mrs. Berle, Ruth Marshall Jewelers of New York City have created this gold charm bracelet with each charm marking a step you took, Milton, to the very top of show business. Your theatrical club, Milton.
Thank you very much.
The famous Friars Club means a lot to you, we know. After years of leadership as abbot, your fellow members elected you abbot emeritus of the club. Great, high honor. So Crest has commissioned the nationally known artist David Immerman to paint your portrait, and that portrait of you will hang in a place of honor in the new Friars Club building in New York City.
Fabulous.
And Studio 6B at NBC New York is where you started your first great TV series, Milton, in appreciation of your great contribution to our industry. NBC is erecting a bronze plaque outside Studio 6B, which will say, in this studio, Mr. Television, Milton Berle, made television history. A dedication ceremony will be held when you return to New York. Milton and Ruth. And Milton, there's another portrait which David Immerman has completed and brought here to unveil tonight. We didn't want to keep it from you last week, so we did show you this last week, and pictures were taken, shown all over America. No face could be dearer to you than the one whose image he has captured. Here's a gift to you from Crest. It's a painting of your beloved mother, your mom, Sarah Berlinger. And isn't it a wonderful, wonderful thing? Come on over and sit, Mother. Hello, David. David Immerman.
Hello, wonderful.
This
Thank you so much.
is your life, Milton Berle. A good laugh is sunshine for the spirit and lengthens life, they say. Through your wit and your humor, you've given this priceless gift of laughter to your fellow man. God bless you.